Good evening and welcome to Experience Bar, where we're turning video games into cocktails. My name is Jack and I'll be your bartender this evening, so I show you how to make a drink that's truly full of vim and vigor. The Murder of Crows from BioShock Infinite. Let's get started. So, the Murder of Crows from BioShock Infinite is a Vigor. A drinkable substance that lets you shoot crows out of your hands. It's pretty cool. But we don't really know what goes into it, other than Adam, that sea slug juice that lets you resequence your DNA. So instead we're going to take a look at the world of Colombia and take a little bit of inspiration from that when we're making this drink. And of course we'll end up with a drink that looks the part as well. Jet black, much like you see it in game. So to begin with, we're going to start with our baseline spirit, the bourbon. So Colombia, very much an all-American city to the point of xenophobia and racism and all sorts of other nasty stuff. So it only feels right that we have a very American spirit to form the basis of our drink. 2 ounces bourbon. Next up, we've got this curious little black substance. So in my research for this drink, I found out something very fascinating. A lot of the advertisements for Vigors are based on real life advertisements, and probably the most obvious one is the one for Murder of Crows, which is based on a advert for sarsaparilla. So what we've done is we've made a sarsaparilla reduction. If you're wondering how to make this, just check the description below. I'll leave a little recipe. We've also added a little bit of squid ink, which doesn't really change the flavor, but it does make it jet black, and it will make this drink jet black as well. It does add a little bit of saltiness to it, but considering that Adam, sea slug juice, is the only thing we know about this drink, it feels right that we should be adding something from the sea. So 3/4 ounce of that. Last of all, we've got our Angostura bitters, a nice classic finisher for a drink, and people who've been paying attention to their cocktail history or are cocktail aficionados themselves will know that this is now essentially an old-fashioned. I tried a few different ways of making this drink, but settled on an old-fashioned because, again, Colombia, very American city, and there's nothing more American than the proto-cocktail old-fashioned. So just a couple of dashes of that. So now we've got everything into our mixing glass, we are simply going to stir it. Now, normally you would serve old-fashioned in a rocks glass, you know, that's classic, but to be honest, I've never found rocks glasses particularly visually interesting, and because this drink, a lot of it is about the color and the look, I decided to serve it up in a martini glass with a cute little feather. There you have it, the Murder of Crows, a Vigor from BioShock Infinite that lets you shoot birds out of your hands.
I will remember you.
That's going on my Christmas list. But that's enough talking about it. Let's get to drinking it. Here's to all our supporters on Patreon for making this drink happen. Cheers. I really enjoyed BioShock Infinite. I was very excited when it first got announced, simply because I really enjoyed the original BioShock and the ideas that they had in that, and it was nice to see them replicated in BioShock Infinite. I mean, they took them differently. There was kind of a more of a religious fundamentalism, which you saw a bit in BioShock 2, but not really, whereas it was the core focus of Infinite. I like those kinds of ideas. I like political views being taken to the extreme, or seeing what happens to a place when that kind of view takes hold. Vigors are the replacement for plasmids, and they also don't take as important part in the story as plasmids did. Plasmids were a core part of the downfall of Rapture, whereas Vigors, not so much. They were just kind of on the sidelines. I really feel like they probably could have done away with Vigors entirely, and it wouldn't have made much of a difference to the plot. As a drink, Murder of Crows is very much an old-fashioned. It has a little bit more licorice and herbal flavors, but if you like old-fashions, you're gonna like this drink. Do not let the black color put you off. If you can't find squid ink, by the way, you can use black food coloring, but be careful because it can stain your teeth if you drink too much of it. But yeah, that's it. That's the murder of crows from BioShock Infinite. Thank you so much for joining me. I've been Jack Stone. This has been Experience Bar. If you like what you've seen here today, give us a like, subscribe, suggest a drink down in the comments below, or come and join the community on our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, subreddit, Discord, all of that stuff. On the Discord especially, we're particularly active, and you'll get the chance to play with myself and the crew on a variety of video games. So come on down, the link we'll put in the bottom, or just check our subreddit for it as well. And if you want to see this show keep going, please do consider heading over to our Patreon. There's some extra goodies for the people who support us, including a D&D recipe book with more to come. We're creating new content every 2 weeks. Hope to see you then, but until then, cheers.